Hello everyone, welcome to Principles of Accounting for Healthcare. My name is Chris Gibbons. I'm going to be your instructor for the next 8 weeks as we delve into the exciting world of accounting in the spring 2020 semester. All right, in this welcome video, what I would like to do is kind of go over the syllabus and talk a little bit about the layout of the course. So we're going to spend about the next 10 minutes together kind of setting the foundations before we get started in our study of accounting. All right, so before we get started any further, what I would like you to do is, if you don't have the syllabus right here, print it out. Please pause the video and print that. I do think it's a great thing to have the syllabus, have a hard copy of it. It is our roadmap for the course. It's a great reference to figure out, when things might be due. Again, we might do some changes to this as we go along, but generally we don't change too much as the course unfolds. So if you don't have this, please pause the video, print it, and then come back. All right, so hopefully you're back. You now got this wonderful syllabus. Let's take a look at some of the high points in here that I'd like to draw your attention to. So the first one, as you know, a lot of our syllabi are kind of the same here at Mercy College. The contact information on the top. This is a 3-credit-hour course, and it is compressed into 8 weeks. So many of you have already taken the 8-week format courses. You know they are, the pace on them is pretty fast. It's not like a normal 16-week course. We're crunching everything together into 8. So be very careful about due dates and assignments and, planning your time and all that stuff when it comes to these accelerated courses. You also have my contact information here. You have my email. You have my office phone number and office hours by appointment. The best way to get a hold of me is usually through email. I'm also going to give you my cell phone number later on this week. Text message is also a great way to get a hold of me. I prefer that, actually. If you text me, I can usually get back to you really, really quick, especially for those short form questions. If it's going to be a longer question, then use the email. And then if we need to do a interactive phone call, then we can schedule that to do that. But I think we can solve 95% of the stuff that we encounter throughout the course can usually be solved through text or email. All right. But again, look for later on this week. I'll give you guys my cell phone number. Now, this course, obviously, course description, you can read that, but this is an introduction course. And we're taking 2 different forms of accounting and we're mashing them together, and then we're seeing it all through the lens of healthcare. So there's really 2 different forms of accounting, which you'll learn about very soon as the course starts to progress. There's managerial and there's financial accounting. Each one of those would be a series of multiple courses if you were going with an accounting degree. We're kind of taking a survey of both, then also how this all links into healthcare. So we're covering a lot of territory, but really the essentials that a manager is going to need to know. We're not going to make you a CPA. We're not going to make you an accountant, but we want to make you aware of the information that's being used in the business environment. As a manager, you need to have some fundamental understanding of accounting because you'll be making decisions based off of accounting information. All right. So our add and drop dates, again, no one's going to drop this course because it's absolutely fantastic. But if you do need to drop the course, be aware of these various drop dates because of the financial implications for the various points in which folks drop. But right now we're looking at the first day of class, January 13th, and our last day will be Sunday, March 8th. Okay, then we got the Mercy College goals and learning outcomes. We'll skip all of that stuff. Go to the course objectives. As I said, I'm not here to make you an accountant. We're here to give you a general understanding of financial and managerial accounting within the healthcare environment. So what we're doing, when you look at these objectives, they're really kind of fundamental. Describe the purpose of accounting and the accounting process. Demonstrate the application of a basic accounting terminology. Know what the words mean because you're going to hear these words in the real business environment. Identify and interpret fundamental financial statements, balance sheets, income statements, statements of cash flows. Understand what those are and how they're used. You'll know that by the end of this course. Explain the essential function and application of financial and managerial accounting. What are the differences between those two and how are they used? You'll know that one too by the end of 8 weeks. And then summarize the importance of accounting to healthcare organizations. Now, this accounting class is taught solely through the perspective of healthcare. This is not an general accounting course. This is a healthcare accounting course, which I think makes this course very, very different than anything else that you might see out there at any other institution. Healthcare accounting has its really own perspectives and narrative, if you will. I mean, it is different. There are fundamentals that have to be the same, whether you're building cars or taking care of patients when it comes to accounting. But the differences is really the important part. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this course. And that's what we're going to focus on because this is a healthcare administration course, and that's what it's all about. All right, so that's some of the basics with that. With the course objectives, again, I'm going to say this 9 million times. You'll probably get sick of it, but we're not here to make you accountants, okay? As you go through this and you go through the course, there will be times that will be challenging. Students do tell me this is a challenging course. The topic of accounting can be somewhat boring and dry. I get that, totally get that. But it is truly essential for healthcare organizations and how they function that you have an understanding of it. So it's kind of for your own good eventually. As a manager, whether you're currently a manager or going to be a future manager, my current managers get it. They understand. They may not like it, but they get it because they deal with it every day. My future managers may not get it yet, and they just go, this is boring and terrible. But know that you're going to find the applications once you get out in the field. All right, so there's my little soapbox on that. And we'll talk about this even more as the course continues on. But just as the general layout, I try to simplify the course, not overly complicate with a lot of individual assignments. So you have some rhythm and pattern to this whole thing. And we'll jump into a module in just a moment and show you kind of what that rhythm is. But we have these learning activities, basically homework, learning activities, where you're going to be practicing the mechanisms of accounting. So you're gonna say, well, Chris, you told me I don't need to be an accountant. Yes, but we're gonna practice some of the things that an accountant that a finance department might do. So you could maybe get an appreciation of what they do, and then kind of understand where the number came from. All right, you may never in the future calculate the number. Okay, the number will be provided to you on a report that you'll get off whatever. And but you understand and appreciate how that number got there and the meaning of that number. And we're going to kind of play with that through these learning activities. Okay. We're going to have a module quiz, so you'll reinforce some of the readings and practice that you're going to be doing. We're going to have a progress journal. I'm going to check in with you 4 times throughout the course. Just a great way for us to talk. How you doing? What are you frustrated with? How are things going? That kind of thing. So I think it's a great way for me to take the temperature of the course. That's where, if there are any adjustments to the course, usually that comes from these progress journals. You guys might tell me one thing or another, and I change the course a little bit on the fly. I do this all the time. Every group of students is different, and I want to really meet your learning needs that are specific to this group. Every course I run, we change something, we tweak something from the baseline. So what we're given here is kind of the baseline. So we might change something, and usually those changes are communicated to me through the progress journal. We're going to do a couple of case studies. We're going to play around with some stuff. You're going to see some real world stuff that came out of the real world, and you're going to kind of apply some thoughts to it. Some of these case studies are the 2 that we have can be very complex. They could be used for master's level programs if you wanted to. But we're just going to play with it, and you're going to do your best on these case studies. What I'm looking for is, are you applying the language of accounting? Are you applying some of the concepts that we learned? I'm not worried about a right answer, and quite frankly, very few case studies actually have a right answer. It's sometimes impossible to predict the future on any kind of business environment, but you can come with some generalities and approaches to that. So that's what I'm looking for in the case studies. Don't worry, we'll talk more about that. We're going to play around with a couple case studies. We're going to have a midterm and final exams. So when you look down at the breakdown of points, everything is pretty evenly distributed. The case studies are kind of heavy at 125 points apiece. But as we approach the first case study, remember, I'm not looking for an exact answer. I'm looking for a thought process. So what does that mean? That means students usually do really good on the case study as long as they put the effort in and they're giving a cohesive, logical argument to that particular case study. So if you're just kind of mailing it in, you kind of know, and that's where the points come off. But if you notice there, we've only got about a half a dozen different types of assignments throughout this course, so it's pretty cut and dry as we go through. Let's take a look at a module. We'll jump into the course here, and you'll kind of see how the modules kind of unfold. Hopefully. Still loading. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's take a look at Module 1, and you'll see this pattern is pretty much the same throughout all of the modules in the course. So we have readings and presentations. You're going to have your chapter readings out of the textbook, and you're going to have, there's some, usually some videos. On most weeks you have some videos in there that you'll want to see. If there's a video there, you'll want to watch it. I usually pull quiz questions from both the reading and the videos, so make sure you're looking at any video content that might be in there. You're going to have a learning activity. Again, that'll be some sort of homework that will tie back to that reading and to that video, and then there'll be a quiz as well tying back to that. So that's pretty much the pattern: the learning activity, the quiz. Sometimes we'll have a progress journal, sometimes not. And again, let's look at Module 2. Same kind of pattern: learning activity, quiz, all the way through through this course. All right, so that's kind of the basics. Now, let me. I'm going to pull up the learning activity here, and I want to draw your attention to something. If it comes up. Okay, so I've pulled up one of our learning activities, and here's what I want you to look at. Please note the following, because every semester I run this, there is always a few students who kind of do the wrong thing. So learning activities will come in two different flavors. Sometimes you'll do like a little essay, and sometimes you'll do questions or problems, and that's the key, questions or problems, in the back of the chapter, of the chapter reading in the textbook. Okay. Please note the following, okay? In the back of each chapter, there are a set of questions and there's a set of problems. The author calls them questions and problems, okay? The author also gives them the same exact number. So, in the back of the book, there is a question, 3.1. And there is a problem, 3.1. So make sure you're doing the correct one, the questions or the problems. It'll clearly say this is the problems going from, 3.1, 3 meaning the chapter, 3.1 to, 3.12. Okay? So there'll be 12, questions. Then there'll be another section that says, our problems, and it'll be, 3.1 to 3. Whatever, 12 or 14, whatever. But know that there's two different parts in the back of the book. One says problems, one says questions. Make sure you're doing the right one. I'll tell you what to do in the learning activity, but what happens that I find is that, like in this particular instance, please address the following problems, not questions, starting on page 112. So what I've seen students do is they've done the questions. Okay? I say do the problems. The problems are usually like words, narratives, Questions are like math. Well, sort of math. Accounting, math. And a little bit harder usually. So I'm like, why? Oh my gosh, why did you do that when I wanted you just to basically do a few definitions? So make sure you're doing the right ones in the back. I'll tell you what it is. When we are doing either questions or problems out of the back of the textbook, okay? make your life a little bit easier. All right, so that covers the basic layout of the course. The flow is pretty much the same all the way through, through this entire 8 weeks. All right, so that kind of covers our review of the course. You've got your syllabus, you know the layout of the course, you've seen how the assignments kind of work. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. So let me revisit this this area once again. I know I talked about it about 5 minutes ago. And that is, this class has traditionally, students have told me it's challenging. One, the material's boring. I get that. I totally get it. It's boring. It's accounting. It is essential. It's important. I kind of gone through that, and hopefully you understand that by the end. The quizzes, especially, you will find the quizzes challenging. Okay, they're designed to be challenging. They're not, are they tricky? Well, maybe. It might be a little on the tricky side as well. Do the best you can with the quizzes. I know the quizzes are the hardest part of this whole course. So, as you're going through that, as you're going through the course, let's say you're an A student, and all of a sudden you see you're getting a B. You missed a couple questions. You got a B on the quiz. Maybe even got a C on the quiz. That is okay, because the other assignments that you have in the course will more than make up for a little bit of challenge that you might face on the quizzes. So this course was designed that the quizzes are sort of the challenging part, if you will. The other ones are, definitely if you can put forth your good faith effort into those assignments, you get all the points. The quizzes are where I see the accountants come out. So if I have a student who gets an A in the course and they've aced all their quizzes, most likely that person has an inclination, as weird as it is, there's always a group of people who have an inclination towards accounting and finance like myself, and that might spur them on to do, more things within accounting and finance. If you're getting, B's on the quizzes and you're normally an A student, do not let that freak you out. Again, there's more than enough points for you to very comfortably achieve an A in this course. So, what did Chris say? The quizzes might be a little challenging. Don't let it throw you. Don't let it knock your confidence down, okay? Keep grinding through and doing all the other assignments, doing the learning activities when we have those out there, doing the progress journals, get all of those other points, putting forth good effort into those case studies, which is, the kind of a big chunk of points when you look at the whole distribution of the course, in those two assignments. And you're going to do absolutely fine in this course, okay? I just know there's going to be a couple of you are going to be like, wow, these quizzes are ridiculously hard. Now, kind of that way. But again, take it in stride, look at the big picture, and you'll be fine. I've thought about, kind of lightening up on the quizzes, but really I think it's a way to challenge those individuals who maybe really do want to pursue an accounting and finance track with their careers. It can energize them. So I don't want to reduce that for those few individuals. So, but again, I'm not here to knock people down and knock their grades down. So again, very, very easily achievable to get an A in this course and to do kind of ho-hum, on the quizzes. Where students are not doing well is the old traditional things that have been from time in beginning, not doing assignments. Mailing assignments in. And you know what that is. You know what mailing it in is, not putting forth, the good faith effort, into the assignments. Even if we're, even if, again, a case study, you've gone a completely unusual creative direction, as long as you've tried to justify that and you're applying some accounting information in there, you're probably going to get nearly the full points for that. So, I'm here to kind of facilitate this introduction to accounting and later on into finance. So, again, don't let it, long story short, don't let the quiz performance throw you, because I know some of you are like, wow, this is ridiculous. I've never gotten a a 70% on a quiz in my life. Yeah, that may happen to you in this course, but you'll get an A for the course if you do everything else and you do it to the normal quality. If you're an A student, you do it to that kind of effort and quality, you will absolutely get an A. I will say in this course, the grade distribution is usually 90% A's, and then the students that get B's may have missed an assignment or two. The students that get C's have missed, multiple assignments, mailed in some assignments, and then students that get D's are just in and out of the course and they're not really participating, and they get the D. So an F's, well, you know what that is. So again, you'll do absolutely great in this course, and hopefully at the end you can go, man, it was kind of difficult, but this was something that's going to help me in my career going forward. Even if you don't be a man, even if you're not going to planning on being a manager someday, having accounting knowledge to guide your own career is essential, because your career does not exist in a vacuum. Okay, so let's say you're like, Chris, I'm never going to be a manager. I don't want to be a manager. I like being a nurse. I like being a radiologic technologist. I don't want to manage other people. Perfectly fine. Great. No problem with that. But your career does not exist in a vacuum. There are financial forces that impact your livelihood, whether you like it or not. You may like dealing with patients and just that one-on-one, but there's all that other stuff that's coming in. And if you're able to read that other stuff, be able to understand that other stuff, the financial stuff especially, that can help you make career choices that can benefit you and your family. So there's value in the course, even in a non-managerial aspect. Okay. All right, guys, that concludes it. Everybody have a fantastic first week in the course. If you have any questions, send me an email and look for my cell phone number later on this week. Everybody have a fantastic week. Thanks.